What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of Reckless Logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any of my posts from me. Let's get straight into this video. How is everybody doing? As you guys can already tell by the title of this video, this is a segment. Now, this segment is called Ear-Gasmic Report. This is a segment where you guys can hear me, but you guys will not be able to see me. Okay. All right. So let's get straight into this video. Make sure you guys pop that like button, y'all, because it really does help out with YouTube's algorithm. So first things first, let's start off with Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. Okay, so Mariah Carey and Nicholas Cannon are both in the media once again. Mariah Carey wants primary custody of both of their children, Monroe and Moroccan. Now, Moroccan, hopefully I'm not butchering that child's name. I do not mean no harm by it, but however, the way that Nick Cannon is very creative with these names, y'all blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Okay, so yes, so Mariah Carey allegedly wants to have primary custody of the children because Nick lacks time with the children. That's basically what's being said and what's being alleged. Now, to be a bit honest, people have always made these or had these concerns dealing with Nick Cannon. For those who may not be aware, when it comes down to Nick Cannon, he has 12 children, and with him having 12 children from, I want to say, 6 other women, just everybody always had the concern of how are you going to have time for each one of these children? How are you going to have time for 6 different households? How are you going to have time at this point? So that was basically what's being alleged. And I think the thing is this. I believe, because this is actually something that we were talking about, me and a couple of other people were talking about the other day. I believe that people have this idea of parenting misconstrued. People always talk about parenting in the form of or from the perspective of financial. Yes, you can financially support children. Yes, you can financially afford children, but will you have the time and the ability to spend or be present in that child's life or children's lives in different ways and different and show up differently than just the dollar bill? Because being able to cultivate a environment and a healthy space for your children, it takes more than just the dollar bill. And we all see this through the guides of, or through examples of, where we have rich people but yet they have nannies, and the children don't really have so much of a relationship with their parents, who obviously have money, who obviously have resources, but they actually have a relationship with the nannies or the people that were actually raising them, essentially. So this was always a concern for people when it came down to Nick Cannon having 12 children and being able to actually take care of those 12 children, not always by the dollar bill, but have actually spending quality time. So now it seems like our concerns specifically are starting to come to the forefront, because for a long time, I will say, we never really heard too much about Nick Cannon in a negative light when it comes down to the other women and the way that they speak about Nick Cannon specifically. Now, I know in the past Nick Cannon did mention and talk about he had an illness. And now here's the thing, because let's actually get into his illness, not specifically, but let's talk around it. Now, it seems like, and I could be wrong, it seemed like from my perspective that ever since we as the general public found out about Nick Cannon's illness, that is when it seemed like, from my perspective, that's when he wanted to have all of these children, and being able to have all these children and cultivate all these different households. Cool. But here's the thing. And what's going on, y'all? Here's the thing. The thing is that I believe, this is me speaking, I believe that people mistake or don't know the distinction between having children and having a legacy. Because to my knowledge, I do believe that when it came down to Nick Cannon, his life was on the line. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe his life was on the line, and to where it was kind of iffy whether or not he was going to make it past a certain age or etc. Or at least that's the impression that I had. And I and some other people, because I've actually seen this on the blogs, or at least in the comment section, where people believe that he was having all of these different types of children to be able to, because he was scared to pass away alone or not have anyone by his side, or quote unquote not leave his mark. And let me say this, because this is actually something that I noticed a lot of the times when it comes down to celebrities, or people in general. People mistake or don't know the difference between just having children and having a legacy. Your legacy does not always have anything to do with your children at all. Nothing. And I need for whenever we talk, okay, so perfect example right here. Whenever we talk about Martin Luther King and his legacy, we never bring up his children. Realistically, we never talk about the children. That is not the first go-to whenever we talk about the legacy of Martin Luther King, or the legacy of Malcolm X, or the legacy of Rosa Parks, or the legacy of Frederick Douglass. Essentially, whenever we talk about the legacy of Frederick Douglass, we don't talk about Umar Johnson. No shade, we don't. That's not realistic. But people have this idea that, I want to leave a legacy. It says, I want to leave a legacy. I want to have all these children. Even though, yes, I can afford them, but I want to have all these children because I want to leave a legacy. Your legacy has really nothing too much to do with your children. Your legacy has to do with your impact. What impact did you have? How did your presence shift the culture? That is what your legacy is. And I feel like a lot of people do conflate or misconstrue the definitions of the two, and they try to marry the two when that's not always the case. It's not always the case. Now, Lux Tea Party says Akon ain't slick either for trying to co-sign for Nick either. But here's the thing with Akon. Akon, honestly, I really didn't hear too much about Akon. I would say in a negative light when it came to Akon personally. But what I will say is this. I will say that when it came to Akon, the more he spoke in the more recent interviews or the more recent sightings within the media, I started to kind of get a whiff of what he's kind of about. And when he literally said, when I say he, Akon, when Akon literally said in the interview saying that he does not have to be present for recitals and stuff because that's a white man's thing. Yes and no. I get that you're trying to be on your woke stuff and, it's a social construct of being at these recitals. But however, what I will say is this. It does make a difference when you are present in your child's life. It does make a difference when your child sees you at their recitals, something that they are excited about doing. It does make a difference to know that your child is in the school play and they're excited for this role, or they're nervous about this role, and for them to be able to see your face, that may be the only thing to calm them down. And these are things that a lot of the time, especially if it's like a school recital, does not require any money. But however, that's also a part of being a parent as well. Now, in terms of Nick Cannon specifically, now in terms of Nick Cannon, it's like you're spreading yourself thin. And now since it's actually been confirmed that you are technically spreading yourself thin, let's be very clear. Having 12 children for you specifically, yes, you can afford 12 children in 12 different households, etc. But you're going to be spreading yourself thin. Reason being is because if you have the finances to be able to support 12 different households and also including your own personal household, then yes, you must be working, or you must have different sources of income. So which means you're gonna have to take time to have that income or be able to work and to keep that income, the income flow consistent. But not only that, you're also gonna need time to eat. You're also gonna need time to sleep, to be able to rejuvenate, to be able to keep going. But then not only that, you're also gonna need time for yourself. So you can make sure your mental health is right. Because the thing about it is that if you're not right mentally, how do you expect for yourself to be present or be able to cultivate a environment for 12 other children when you're not mentally okay? It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. So, and not only that, you also have to, and this is the part that we everybody's talking about, even Mariah, you must have time for the children, to spend quality time with the children. Because it's one thing to always have to swipe your card for your child or your children, but what is that bond like? What is that connection like? Especially if the situation of him feeling like this or at one point in time this was the end of his life, and you wanting to have your children by your side. How do you expect your children to quote unquote be by your side if you're not spending enough time with them? How do you expect your children to have your back when they don't know you? No shade. They don't know you. Let me read some of these comments. I have lupus too. Had it 15 years. You don't need to rush. You don't need to rush to have kids. I had my daughter at 37 last year. He already had the twins. Case in point, you don't rush to have children. No shade. No shade. He didn't need 12 to have a legacy. He just went overboard with randoms. Umar said the school is opening soon. Girl, Veronica, Umar need to get it together. Umar needs to get it together. Let me see what BB's saying. Let's be honest. Looking at the optics, the man is only around those women to procreate. Everything he takes a picture with one of his harem. 7 to 8 months later, the baby bump picture comes out. Girl, he's honestly insane. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not judging him on the numbers. I'm just saying, why would you do that? That's okay. So that's perfect. I like that you said that, Mary, because that goes right back. So here's the thing. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna move on because I got a lot to get through. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna move on. Another reason why, in terms of Mariah, this was just, I would say, the first step. Because to be completely honest, I've never heard any of the women that have dealt with Nick Cannon speak about Nick Cannon in a negative light. Or be completely honest, I never really heard anybody speak about Nick Cannon in a negative light. Of course, besides Eminem, personally, and his diss tracks. But I've never actually heard anybody speak of him in a negative light. So the fact that you finally have Mariah Carey, and to be completely honest, no shade at all, but the most notable baby mother of your list is the one that's actually speaking out, saying that he does not spend enough time with the children. And let's not forget that recently he actually made an IG post saying, basically remembering the life of one of his children that ended up passing away, and one of his regrets was not spending enough time with that child because he was so occupied with other things. And the thing is this, I believe, after a certain number of quote unquote baby mamas, after some time, I believe some women are signing up for the child. They're signing up for the bag. They're signing up for the lifestyle. I do believe that. But here's the dangerous part about that. Now, I would say the first baby mama, of course, they don't know. Of course, it's your first time for everything. Cool. Second baby mama, probably still didn't know, but didn't think things are probably going to be different. Third baby mama, okay, well, we're kind of getting to that point of, okay, are you not reading the Yelp reviews when it comes down to this bad boy? And Like, you're not reading the Yelp reviews, but okay, let it continue. Not the fourth baby mama. After that, that is when we have to have a conversation. So, what's your intention when it comes down to dealing with Nick Cannon and having a child by him? And it's one thing if this was actually a man or a person that was low key and didn't really have a status and didn't really say nothing, or really, or didn't have or didn't was not, you weren't able to Google him. But it's the fact that you're able to Google Nick Cannon. But not only that, are you guys not reading the Carfax on these men? And so this right here leads me to my next question. And I'm gonna leave that up there. But this right here leads me to my next question. Well, not really my question, but statement. My next statement is that at some point, I do believe that the women that get involved with men that are financially stable, wealthy, have access to money, but yet want a lot of children, at some point, you just in it for the money. Yes, you got pregnant, or you were able to have a baby with a man, and got something out of it. Okay, cool. That's better than nothing. But however, with him having 12 children, and I'm using Nick Cannon for example, with him having 12 children and him not being able to spend a lot of quality time with each child, because think about it, you can spend time with a lot of children, but however, every child is different. Some children may need a lot of quality time. For me personally, at least in my personal experience, I didn't need a lot of quality time when it came down to my parents or whatever. A lot of things I didn't really need personally, compared to other siblings that I know, compared to other friends that I know that needed a lot more when it came down to an emotional and a or a physical presence. For me, probably more emotional, but however, when it came to a physical presence, I was cool off that, because I understood that, life happens. I understood that, mom may have to work, or I understood that dad, he had to do this. So if that's the case of knowing that he's just about spreading himself thin, and he's not able to be at 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 places all at once, and he also has to work and take care of his own mental health, etc. Now it puts the other women in a position to be able to go to the legal system and being able to file claims, being able to, and to my personal opinion, being able to file claims and being able to really go after the things that they really want, which is his money. Now I do now, and which now this has nothing to do with Mariah Carey. Obviously, she has her own money, but I think that after a certain number of women dealing with Nick Cannon, I do believe it's just strictly about the money and the lifestyle. And so, with that opportunity of him not being able to be at 14 different places all at once, that gives a window of opportunity for certain people to be able to take advantage of that situation and also go to the legal system and take more of your resources. No shade. No shade. Let me see what you guys are saying. Ooh, I'm pressing stuff. They're in it for that 18-year-old support check. But what happens if, Lord forbid, something tragic happens to him in the bag? But here's the thing. The money's gonna always be there, no shade, because he does receive royalties. He owns things, so the bag is gonna always be there. In my personal opinion, that's what I believe. I'm not in their bank account, but for me, thinking and actually knowing that one thing I will say about Nick, and he is a hustler, but the bag is always gonna be there. Personally, that's what I think. Be completely honest with you. Bye. Let me see. They better hurry up, because I think after a certain number of kids on child support, somebody must get nothing. No, I'm not even really into the child support, so I don't even know. Hey, Ev. Thank you, Ev. Thank you, Ev. Thank you. What's going on? and welcome to the new segment. This is a segment called Ear-Gasmic Report. You guys are going to hear me, but you guys are not going to see me. Please make sure you guys thumbs up this video. It really does help with YouTube's algorithm. Help me. But thank you so much, very much, F. Thank you. But yes, I just feel like, and plus I will feel bad when it comes down to if a situation like that would actually happen to Nick Cannon, only because I feel like I would say the difference between Nick Cannon and Future, no shade, is that with Nick Cannon, I feel like he actually has humanity. For what I understand from the way that people actually speak about him personally, that he doesn't give like F boy in a sense of being like so raw and uncut. I feel like he does have manners. I feel like he is a gentleman. It's just this one thing where he wants 1,001 children, and I think that's the only thing that really gets him messed up. But from what I see, and I could be wrong, y'all, but from what I see, I don't think he's like a messed up dude, like a bad guy. And so if that was to happen, I would feel bad. But at the same time, it's like, ooh, you have a lot going on. You have a lot going on, sir. Like, I don't know. But that's really all I have to say on that situation. But let's move on, y'all. Let's move on. Please, guys, thumbs up. Please. Okay, girl. Put this bad boy up while I do this. Ooh, girl, I like this. This is so laid back. I live for it. Okay, so, girl, now this right here gonna irk my soul. So let's talk about Johnathan Wright and Milan Christopher, girl. Okay, so Johnathan Wright and Milan Christopher apparently met up. Now I want to say Miami. Do not quote me on the location, but they ended up running into each other. Now, just to give you guys a little backstory. Let me give you guys a little backstory, because I'm not gonna lie, this right here annoyed my soul. So a little backstory is that Johnathan Wright is a hairstylist. Milan Christopher is a reality TV personality. They both were on Zeus Network when they were part of Bad Boys. Now, Johnathan was on the show. Milan was on the show as an original castmate. Johnathan came in as a replacement, or he came in later on. And Johnathan ended up fighting Milan's friend Rio, hit him with the chair. It got really bloody. It got really crazy. Milan and Johnathan were kind of going back and forth. A big situation happened. The show ended. It ended up going off. Show ended, but even before the show aired, Johnathan and Milan were going back and forth on Bigo. They had beef going on. They were just going, it was just a lot going on between the two. Obviously, you can tell even before the show actually aired, there was a lot of tension between the two. And then later on, Gutter K was somebody else that was on a castmate on the show, ended up getting into a situation with Milan and Rio, where Gutter K essentially got jumped, or was about to get jumped, but hands and feet, in my personal opinion, were put on him. Now, the reason why it was put on him, because allegedly, the reason why Johnathan was able to fight Rio the second time, essentially the second day, is because Gutter allowed him to come back to the house, or told him that to come back to the house. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, essentially that's what happened. So when the Gutter K situation happened, Johnathan let it be known that it's on site. Don't worry about it, Gutter. I'm gonna get him for you. Da da da. Cool. So apparently they had met. Now I want to say in Miami. I could be wrong about the location, but they apparently had seen each other recently. And on this specific YouTuber's live, I was watching it, and he was talking about the situation. So apparently there was inside of a ballroom scene. Now, for those who do not know what ballroom is basically part of queer culture. It's like a club event, and that's where they're voguing. That's where they're having different categories. They get all stylish, and they're judged by a panel, etc. And there's a cash prize or whatever. So apparently there was at a ballroom scene, and Milan was at a section, And while he was at a section, he was like bent over or bent down or whatever. And Johnathan was, in the same space with him. And he kind of walked up behind Milan. Now, this is what I'm paraphrasing, and this is what I got, y'all. He walked up behind Milan. And when he walked up behind Milan, he said this something along the lines of, we're not on TV anymore. And it was like, oh, okay. And so Milan didn't know who it was. He kind of like got up and was like, who the hell? And so there seemed to be tension between the two. Now, this is what I'm going to paraphrase because, we only got a little bit of information, really, really, for real. There was tension between the two. Milan wasn't backing down. Johnathan wasn't backing down. Apparently, somebody had to get in between, or somehow the situation ended up calming down to where Johnathan paid the situation. And so the specific YouTuber called Milan on his live. And so on the live, Milan said, that he was crouched down. He was doing something. Johnathan must get, come on, Soothing. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Soothing. Come on, squid titties. Yes, I know that's right. But yes, so Milan was crouched down, and Johnathan, from his perspective, from what I heard, I could be a little bit wrong about this, but from what I heard, Johnathan did come up behind him and said, we're not on TV, or made a comment or whatever. Milan got up and said that, yo, we're not on TV no more, etc. Whatever. Both parties weren't really backing down. And they said eventually it got diffused. Johnathan paid the situation. Or they both paid the situation. Cool. Here's my thing. And they also said it was also allegedly, Milan picked up a cutting utensil for his protection. So here's my thing, because to be completely honest, on that exact same live with the YouTuber, and when Milan was actually called in and actually said his piece. Girl, Milan, he irks my spot. Okay, so on that exact same live, Milan was popping his ish, and he was talking his big boy stuff. So let me say this. First things first. Milan really, in my personal opinion, it showed once again that Milan Christopher is scary. It shows that he's not able to have he doesn't have a backbone. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is this. So allow me just to paint a picture for you guys, just in case you guys are not clear. So I'm not well versed in the ballroom scene, but I do know some things because people do talk. And within the ballroom scene, because also keep in mind as well too, I'm on Bigo, and Milan is on Bigo. And from what I understand, I could be wrong, but from what I understand, I'm pretty solid in this part. Milan Christopher is very big in the ballroom scene. So, and another thing I do know about the ballroom scene, the girls be fighting. And when I say the girls, I'm not talking about female as in women, cisgender women or whatever. When I say the girls, the people in the community, okay? The girls be fighting, and they fight so much to the point that I'd be like, okay, with these balls, with these contests and these all this other stuff, at some point I'm like, are you guys here for a competition or are you here for boxing? Because at this point I can't make a distinction between the two. Because the way a lot of you girls be out here just bobbing and weaving and then just be dragging bitches down the street, I'd be like, what the hell going on? What's going on? So since he has a lot of pull and a lot of backup in the ballroom scene, it is, for me personally, it showed me once again that Milan, you're scary. Because if Milan, and we've seen this even on Bad Boys, to where we know that Milan is not going to bust a grape. Like, Milan is not going to, what's going on, Mandrell? Like, Milan is not going to bust a grape. But what he does, he literally has other people, other pit bulls to do his dirty work. And I'm not saying them pit bulls to like demean them, but pit bulls as in the people that he would have, quote unquote, do his dirty work, like a Rio. They actually get down. They actually would get in the field and actually fight. They actually have more heart than he does. And the reason why I'm saying this is because regardless if Rio got beat down 45,000 times in that in those episodes, but however, it's the fact that he was willing to go toe to toe every single time, regardless if he won and regardless if he lost. Milan Christopher, on the other hand, I can't say the same about him personally. Because we've seen it, because most definitely when Johnathan was over there snatching Rio by his scalp, because most definitely Rio came in there with some locks, but he most definitely left out of there with looking like Tyrese by the head, by the scalp, with baby oil. And while that was going on, Milan Christopher was sitting on the Great Wall of China, aka the fence of the mansion, looking through some bushes. And the thing about it is that if you catch and you actually look at the episode, when he thought that Rio was actually going to have the upper hand in the fight between him and Johnathan, he was laughing. He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then when he realized Johnathan was starting to tag Rio up, all of a sudden that smile turned into a frown. And he left his homeboy right there. So for me personally, Milan, he gives me scary. And then when he came on the YouTuber's platform and actually spoke on the phone and kind of confirmed for me certain things, it proved to me that he was scary. And he's always been scary. Always hitting people from the back, always sneaking somebody, always fighting the people that you know that you can beat up, or the people that you know that's not really gonna put up a fight. So it proved to me that he was scary. And you know when you're gonna have background, like a backup in a situation, that's the reason why you have all this rah 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 rah. Because let's be very clear, on the show, when Johnathan wanted to get you in that room and have a conversation, you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do it. When Johnathan wanted to fight you one-on-one, you didn't want to do it. But now that you have backup and also you're in an environment where you have that pull, now all of a sudden you want to go to war, girl. And Johnathan paying the situation, because to my understanding, and I could be wrong because I wasn't there, to my understanding, it was only Johnathan and one woman, cisgender woman, that was at that ball. And keep in mind, to my understanding, y'all, Milan Christopher has pull in the ballroom scene. And to my knowledge, I think he's considered a legend in the ballroom scene. So, girl. So yeah, they were going to jump Johnathan if that was the case. If anything went down, which is the reason why the battery was put in Milan's back. And he knew what to do. And he had all the mouth. So when it comes down to Johnathan paying the situation, that was a smart move. You'll be a dummy to walk into the line of fire. Work smarter, not harder. So him paying the situation, I completely understood. I'm like, girl, it's not even worth it, because yes, it is on site, but however, it's also be smart as hell dealing with your situations. That is what? No shade. Now, another thing that I found very interesting as well is that Milan, even though he did not confirm or deny, but 9 times out of 10, if they say that means that it actually happened. He did not confirm or deny that he picked up a cutting utensil, a knife. And let's be very clear, if a person didn't do it, they're gonna say, no, I didn't do it. But if a person says, I'm not gonna confirm or deny they did it, no shade. That's just common sense. And I do know he was being funny when he said that. But it's the fact that when he said that, for me, it once again proved that you're scary. Because even in the situation where you know for a fact You have pull in the ballroom scene, even in the situation that you know for a fact you have backup in the ballroom scene, even in the situation where you know for a fact you outnumber Johnathan and his crew. You still pick up a weapon instead of using your hand, something that you say that you like to do. You say you like to go in the field. You say you put on this persona when it came down to bad boys, as in you're always in the field, you're gonna go toe to toe, and you was quote unquote. Now, keep in mind, y'all, he's also the same person that's quote unquote the HBIC in the show, on the show, before Johnathan got there. He was the one calling all the shots. No shade. No shade. So him picking up a knife lets me know once again another receipt that he's scared. And I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Another thing when it comes down to the situation, and I would love to hear Johnathan's perspective on this, and he may or may not say anything about it. Milan is a liar. And the reason why how I know this, once again, another receipt. For one, keep in mind, y'all, there have been storylines in regard to, I want to say, Milan and Miles and the false narratives and stuff and the things they had to do to be on the show and the storyline they had to do. There's a history of lies. And then, well, at least to my knowledge. And then not only that, he lies a lot on Bigo. He says one thing, does another. I'm on Bigo. I'm in a Bigo family. And not only that, Milan Christopher tried to talk to my founder and then lied and said that he wasn't trying to talk to my founder. Then when my founder exposed that he was trying to talk to his founder to him, all of a sudden that's when the truth came out. So Milan, in my personal opinion, is a liar. He's shown that to me too many times personally, so he's a liar. So I don't believe anything that he said. No shade. That is no shade. But so I would love to hear Johnathan's perspective on this. Y'all make sure you guys thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Apparently my voice is real soothing, so I'm so comfortable right now doing this. No shade. I might have to start doing more videos like this, girl. This is just comfortable. And by the way, y'all, please thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It really does help out with YouTube's algorithm. Once again, if we do our job in here, YouTube can finally do their job out there. And when they do their job out there, more people come here. Okay. Please, 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 please thumbs up. Okay. And by the way, guys, please welcome to Ear-Gasmic Report. This is a new segment. Well, not really new. I kind of improved it. This is a segment where you guys are going to hear me, but you guys will not see it. Because right now, when I tell you I am laying down, minding my business, and I feel so comfortable, baby. But please, guys, look out for this segment. I really like this. Okay. So let me move on. So now let's get into Dwyane Wade and his ex-wife. Now keep in mind, y'all, I mess up her name all the time, so I'm gonna call her Vaughn. So Dwyane Wade and Zaya Vaughn, but however, I'm just gonna call her Vaughn because I'm about to butcher her name. Dwyane Wade and Vaughn are both the parents of Zaya Wade. So as everybody, if you guys are not aware, Zaya Wade had a name and gender change, or there was an attempt for a legal gender and name change. So when it comes down to the name change and the gender change legally in regards to Zaya Wade, who is the child of both Dwyane Wade and Vaughn. Now, there was a article that literally came out, and it said something along the lines around surrounding that petition that Dwyane Wade tried to get passed violated the agreement that both parents had in regard to parenting both of their children. So with that petition, or trying to get the name and gender changed legally, that violated their agreement. And so essentially Dwyane Wade allegedly did not consent with Vaughn, or her last name is Futches, did not consent with Futches. And so she's trying to get that petition thrown out. So let me say this. let me see. Can I even find it? Let me see. Actually, I actually want to read the article. Well, I'm gonna say the post, cause I really want to get into this. Make sure you guys thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I know that's right. Oh, and by the way, Mandrill, he's cool. He's cool. He's cool. He's just messing around. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so this is, of course, comes from my very favorite blog. It's called the Jasmine Brand. So it's the Jasmine Brand. Now it says here, Dwyane Wade's ex-wife Siohvaughn fudges files court docs to dismiss name and gender change petition for their daughter Zaya Wade. Claims ex-NBA star violated custody agreement. Here we go, y'all. And it says here, now, so according to Radar Online, the athlete's ex-wife, Siohvaughn Fudges, claims his petition to change the name and gender of their daughter violates their custody agreement and wants the petition dismissed. As we reported back in August, Dwyane Wade, 40, submitted court documents to have his transgender daughter Zaya Wade's name and gender legally changed. The basketball star had been majorly supportive of the 15-year-old since announcing her transition journey back in 2020. However, Zaya's desires have not been met with resistance. Most notably, there has been much public opposition from her mother, Siohvaughn Fudges, who is 41. In her most recent outcry against Zaya's identity adjustment, Fudges reportedly claims the petition goes against her custody agreement with Wade. Reportedly, the mother of two submitted the original agreement to the courts this past Friday, which was at the time January 6th, highlighting a provision that allegedly read, and I quote, Wade shall discuss with and obtain input from Fudges on the major decisions affecting the care, welfare, activities, health, education, and religious upbringing of the two children. It seems Fudges is hoping the provision is enough to have the name and gender change petition thrown out. Back in November, the co-parents publicly feud due to the August petition. Reportedly, Wade moved forward with submitting the identity change documents on behalf of Zaya without her mother's consent. So let's get into some things, because this mother here, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. But before we do that, let's do this. I want to go through the comment section. I'm gonna read like 4. Actually, I'm gonna read like 5. I have one person here. It says, I read the petition, and to be honest, all of her concerns are valid. She didn't say she doesn't support Zaya's decision. She just wants her to wait until she's an adult to do anything major. She also concerned about the effects of social media on her current mindset. Okay, another person says, actually, I'm gonna go through everyone I'm gonna read. This whole waiting thing. Let's be very actually no. I'm gonna continue because girl, I'm trying to go on a whole rant. Another person says, I agree with birth mother. People that's saying she should let her go through this are crazy. They must not have kids themselves because kids change their minds all the time. I'm pretty sure she just wants the best for her child, and waiting 3 more years isn't going to hurt. People need to do their research on this. Change your sex permanently is something you can't change back. Here we go. Let's get it. Now let's continue. Hey, what's going on, bro? Let's continue. Decisions like this should only be allowed when the child is an adult, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally mature enough to make such a decision. The kids make erratic decisions and create it later. Mom is doing the right thing. Kudos. Another person says, all this is showing Zaya because it is about her, and her mother doesn't support her transition, and that's going to hurt her more than anything else. D. Wade has full legal custody and is loving and supporting of his daughter through this. Zaya looks happy. Zion didn't. How about y'all take that into consideration? I'm going to read one more, and then I'm going to get into what I got to say. Yeah, as you guys can already tell, I'm probably holding on. Now it says this. 15 is too young to consent to anything. The decision to do this can wait until 18. Okay, so let me say this, because but here's the thing. But here's the thing. No one said anything. No one said anything about a physical change. Like, it's illegal. It's on paper. No one said anything, because even through the comments of this, people kept talking about, yeah, the physical change and the emotional change. No one said anything about a physical change. No one said anything about surgery. And this, no one said anything about surgery. No one said anything about medication. No one said anything, no one said any of those things. They literally just said, and that's the reason why even when I read the article, I kept saying legally, which means on paper. And no one said anything about that. So the fact that that's what people keep running to is like, and I'm gonna have to go down. I'm gonna tell you the reason why the mom is like low key full of shit, in my personal opinion. Now, I do know that it may seem like it's coming from a good place, but the mom, in my personal opinion, is full of shit. First things first, in terms of Zaya Wade, is the child healthy? To our knowledge, yes. Is the child happy? To our knowledge, it looked like Zaya Wade happy as hell. Those are the two things that are important in the child's life. That's one. Two, in terms of the mom's opposition of Dwyane Wade's movement when it comes to Zaya Wade's transition, you know what that you from the surface level, it looks like in this, and maybe because I'm queer, so I clock it. Like, I clock the transphobia and the homophobia because I'm queer as well. A lot of the times people like to hide their, I want you to wait, or I want you to do this. They use those statements as a dress up, or as something that looks pretty or looks like it has substance. But really, when you start to dig deep into why people say certain things, there's homophobia and transphobia there. Now, reason being is because, like someone said in the comment section when I was reading, I heard that the mother was iced out, and yeah. Here's the thing. There is a distinction between you wanting your child to wait for certain things, but there's also a distinction between being completely against the transition itself. Reason being is because of this. If you have no problem with your child's transition, why is this such a big issue then? Because you were going to essentially say yes regardless. Why is it the fact that it's one thing if you say, I have no problem with, the transition, and must keep in mind, y'all, this is where you have to pay attention to language. If you stay on the fact that they're doing this stuff without you actually being aware, or they're doing these things without you actually, being part of the process, that's one thing. But if you catch the little pockets where she's trying to get a petition thrown out that helps the child and supports the child's transition legally, aka on paper, that does not include medication, that does not include surgery, none of those things. So if you're in support of the transition, and if you were quote unquote in support of the transition and you were going to quote unquote say yes regardless, what seems to be the big issue? Now, I understand you're not part of the process, but let's dig a little bit deeper. The reason why you're mad is because essentially you want to say no to the fucking process. That's really what it is. And I'm gonna tap a little bit on that a little bit more. But let me continue. Let's peel back a little bit more, a little bit more layers when it comes down to this situation. There needs to be more education when it comes down to queer people and specifically non-binary and trans situations and things. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if people had more information, and this also includes other queer and trans people, had more information on these type of issues, they would know that children cannot, I'm gonna say this, cannot have surgery until they're at least 18 years old. They cannot go up under the knife unless they're 18 years old. And even then, there's a long process to that. They must see a psychiatrist. They must be dressed or performed as said gender. And I'm just using those words because those are the words that I actually seen. They must it's a long process. They and that process is a year prior to them actually going up under the knife and seeing. I don't know if it's like a psychiatrist, so I'll probably just throw a doctor out there, but they must see a doctor to make sure for a year straight, is this something that you really want to do? And they cannot go under the knife until they're at least 18 years old. At least. And so the fact that people keep talking about this child going up under the knife, I'm like, no, they can't go up under the knife. Now, in terms of medication, now I do know I want to say there are hormone blockers or whatever. I don't know. But here's the thing when it comes down to hormone blockers, no one said anything about those either. Dwyane never said anything about it. Zaya never said anything about it. The other siblings never say anything about it. And keep in mind, if the other siblings ain't say nothing about it, and I'm pretty sure the mom would know something about those things going on because information travels. So even if the mother didn't say anything about hormone blockers, then that's not part of the conversation. All this is just allowing the sex, the gender essentially, and the name to change legally. Everybody already called people who are transphobic call Zaya Zaya. People who don't even see Zaya for her her gender call Zaya Zaya. They don't even use her quote unquote, and I'm about to use it's called dead name. They don't even use Zaya's dead name, which is the name that Zaya went by before actually transitioning. So to change it legally was like, okay, the icing, the cherry on top. People already call Zaya Zaya. And so, and here's another thing too. When it comes down to this, the people talk, because that's another thing I kept seeing in the comments. People kept saying that, people change their minds, children change their minds all the time, and it just might be a phase. But here's the thing: if it's a phase, then guess what? The phase will end. The phase is going to end. The phase is going to end. And the thing about it is that, what's the difference of the child going through this phase and it ends versus them still having that phase but not acting on it, waiting till 18 and then it ends? What's the difference? What's the difference? Still no surgery. still had to go through the exact same process. And to be completely honest, and what's actually very irritating about this specific topic in terms of the mother or whatever, is that a lot of parents do not understand, even when you literally have queer people. And let's be very clear, just because someone is queer, that does not mean they are qualified to speak about queer people's issues, because there are queer people that harbor a lot of self-hate. There are queer people that harbor a lot of transphobia, internalized homophobia. that are highly religious to the point. It's one thing to be religious, but it's another thing to believe in a doctrine that completely dismisses your own existence. Like the same reason why we got a lot of women that they may be women, but they are not qualified to talk about women's issues, because fuck messing with them, you're going to be set back 45 years, aka the mammies. Same thing with melanated issues, aka black issues, the coons. So all phases end, and when they end, a new phase begins. So even if this is a phase, so what? The child is not on no type of medication. There's no surgery. So what seems to be the big giant issue? And that's the telling sign that there is transphobia underneath all of the concerns that people try to dress up. No shade. No shade. Now people try to dress it up as I really care. Do you really care about the child? Because the thing I think is very interesting as well too is that when it comes down to trans or non-binary people, they have to wait until they're grown to be able to at least dress, act, perform. And I'm using these words on purpose because this is the language that they see. They have a time limit requirement. Now I do understand the surgery and the medication. I do understand that. But in terms of being able to be accepted for their transgenderism or non-binariness, by the way, I just made that last word up. I don't know. I really don't know if that's a word or not. Just let y'all know. Them being accepted for those things, but yet let a child be cisgendered. Now, what's cisgendered? Essentially, if you're not trans or non-binary, you're cisgendered. CIS, cis. Cis means the same, which means your sex, which is your sexual anatomy, and your gender, which is the way that you walk through life, the way that you perform, the way that you show up culturally within a society, it matches up for what is quote unquote considered to be the norm. So since you are male, which means that you have your sexual anatomy, your penis, etc., and you are a man, which is the gender construct, which informs people how they should, I'm using quotation marks, how they should act, show up, perform, what they should like as a man, and that is the norm, you are considered cisgender. But yet, if you are male, you have the male anatomy, but yet your gender is woman, then you will be trans. Or you are quote unquote, you have male anatomy, but yet you do not identify or follow the guides of both male, man, and or woman, then you would be non-binary, which means that I don't abide by any of those things. I show up how I show up. So I run the whole thing. So I think it's very interesting that when it comes down to trans and non-binary people, they have to wait for until a certain age to be able to show up in the world as themselves. But yet when it comes down to cisgender children, they are allowed to show up in the world like themselves. I'm using quotation marks, like themselves, as soon as they come out the womb. This is the reason why we have gender reveal parties, baby showers, blue is for boys, pink, yellow for girls, Barbie dolls for girls, monster truck for boys. Boys get to play outside, play football. Girls must, stay in the house, have your Barbie, cook and clean, etc. So this right here lets me know, when I take all of that into consideration, this right here lets me know it's not always this is about something deeper. It's not about, oh, the child, when we already told you guys 45,000 times. The child surgery is off the table, literally. And there was nothing said about medication. So what's the concern? And when you dig deeper, and even with the mother, when you dig deeper, it's transphobia there. Because if having your child's name changed legally was a way to support your daughter, legally, not surgically and not medically, at that age, and if you're in support of your daughter, what seems to be the big issue? And let's be very clear as well too. It's just that she just wants to impose her transphobia. That's just no shade. That's just no shade. That's just no shade. And let's be very clear too. If legally, or let's just say this phase actually ends. I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna move on. But let's just say this phase actually ends. Guess what happens? Guess what happens? Everything stops. Like, everything stops. Everything stops. So let's just say Zaya turns 18, gets on hormones. All of a sudden, that she doesn't have surgery or whatever. Go on hormones. The name's already changed, the gender's already changed legally. This all on paper, not physically, but legally. Y'all do know that everything, you can just stop it. There are people that detransition if that's their choice. And depending upon the reasons, people do detransition. And I think it's also very interesting that in different conversations, people talk about how trans women, specifically for the context of this conversation, and also trans men, have to stay on hormones or have to stay on certain types of or stay on medication to be able to progress within their transition, to combat the constant hormonal hormones that are produced within their body naturally, and them taking medication to combat or offset those hormones to be able to get further or progress with their transition. And think that if they just want to quote unquote detransition, or they don't want to transition anymore, they can just, you just stop taking those hormones, and guess what's going to happen? Your body's going to produce the other hormones. And so if you're a trans woman with those other hormones that actually, are being produced within your body, without the other hormones, medication offsetting those things, the body's going to run naturally. And that's the reason why people who detransition, they're able to detransition if that's really what they want to do. But even that conversation is nuanced within itself. But that's all I'm gonna say with that. Now, in terms of her feeling like she was iced out of the family, I would love to get a little bit deeper into that conversation. Reason being is because it's one thing. Now I have the question of why. Why? Because what about your stance lets me know that you would care about Zaya and Zaya's transition. Because from what I see personally, it's rooted in transphobia. Now, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to continue. So the next thing that we have here, we're going to talk about Pat, who is the co-founder of BLM. So Pat's cousin passes away. Now, Pat's cousin was terminated by the LAPD. Apparently, her cousin started or had a car crash, started a car crash. It was a lot going on when it came down to that situation. But of course, I have the article right here. It's by the Jasmine brand. So let's. Oh, you already know. We're gonna have to. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna have to. Okay, so yes, and by the way, you guys, make sure you guys thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It really does help out YouTube's algorithm. Now it says, now this is brought to you guys by the Jasmine brand. Now it says here, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors. Now, by the way, y'all probably butchered her name. Patrisse Cullors shares her cousin was terminated by LAPD. Let me continue. Now it says, according to reports, Keenan Anderson, cousin of activist Patrisse Cullors, passed away on January 3rd after he was tasered by police for allegedly trying to escape an arrest. Los Angeles police claim Keenan Anderson caused a car crash before standing in the middle of Venice Boulevard, behaving erratically and trying to run away from officers carrying out a DUI investigation. Girl. Now it says here, reportedly, the 31-year-old English teacher, he was an English teacher, Jesus, went into cardiac arrest and passed away at the hospital after being tasered. The LAPD has classified Keenan Anderson's occurrence, because I'm trying to filter out these words, as in custody, and said its Force Investigation Division will conduct an investigation. And it says here, as I continue, reports state that the incident happened at around 3:30 p.m. on January 3rd in the area of Venice Boulevard and Lincoln Boulevard. A traffic officer reportedly saw Anderson running in the middle of the street and exhibiting erratic behavior, as those involved motioned to the officer that he had been responsible for a crash. Girl. Reports also claim that Anderson initially cooperated with the traffic officer, who then requested additional units for the DUI investigation. However, an additional officers arrived at the scene. Anderson allegedly tried to avoid being brought into custody by running eastwards in the middle of Venus Boulevard. Girl, this is crazy. So let me go to the comment section, because when I read this, it was the, oh, and by the way too, C. Marie, thank you so very much for your donation. Thank you. I want to make sure that I actually personally said thank you. Thank you for your donation that you gave me the other day. I didn't see it until after I got off of live. I wanted to make sure I really give out a personal thank you to you. Wanted to make sure. Okay. So let's go to the comment section, because that was something that was found very interesting in the comment section of this article. Okay, now it says here, one person said this. It says, sad situation, but ain't no donations coming your way, sis. Now another person says, if I was her family or the mother of the young man, I would especially ask her not to be involved. Don't even post about it or anything. I can get somewhat with that, somewhat. Another person says, sorry to hear that. Where's all the money? Another person says, no money for you, but my condolences. Another person says, Jesus, these comments are cold-blooded, girl. Another person says, have the arrangements, now it's the F word, y'all, funeral, at the house you brought with the donation. Another person commented under that said, hello. Now, I'm going to read a few more. Another person says, with the money she stole, she can take care of the funeral. Another person says, Google how much the CEO of the March of Dimes make a year. Black folk got a lot of deep programming to do. We love upholding white supremacy, pale supremacy, talking points. We also got to stop getting a news from blogs and use critical thinking, but reading. Now, another person says, we are not donating, but sorry for your loss. Now I'm going to read two more. Now another one says, what happened to all that money you stole from our people? No one cares. Now, last one says here, actually, I'm going to read two more, then I'm done, for real, because this last one looks like it's going to be good. Well, now one person says, well, now she can pay for a good lawyer. What does she want us to do? Now, the last one says this. Oh, she thought they was gonna start a movement, get away with stealing, and nothing was gonna happen sooner or later. Condolences, but you played a dangerous game. Okay, so let me say this. Now, just to give you guys a little backstory. Patrisse, now hopefully I'm not butchering this lady name, the co-founder of BLM. I'm gonna call her Pat, Miss Pat, aka BLM Pat. Uh, she had a situation going on where she received a lot of money for BLM, and she was putting those. She ended up buying a home, a large home. I think a couple of properties. She ended up putting funds into queer spaces, queer organizations. She ended up putting funds into her staff, which were people that she knew personally, and paid them like, and here, I want to say like the security guard. And by the way, I'm paraphrasing, so I could be wrong about this part, but I know the security guard was like $800,000 a year, etc. Whatever. So Pat, aka BLM Pat, she got into it with one of our very favorite, Miss Candace Owens, and so Candace Owens wanted to expose, and I'm using the quotation marks, expose Pat for where she was putting money, where was this money going, all of these different things. And so this is what I got to say. First things first, even from this comment section, I understand the whole thing about this whole narrative that Pat stole money, and we're gonna get into that. But let's be very clear. Nothing was said, or at least unless I skipped over that part in this article. Because keep in mind, I didn't read the full thing. And I'm pretty sure people in this comment section didn't either. No one said anything about donations. No one said anything about getting donations. I know that may have been the underlying tone, or the thing that people just knew but probably was going to come up later on. But no one said anything about donations at all. That never came up. I didn't read that in this article. It never popped across my screen. I didn't see a GoFundMe. I didn't see any of those things. I didn't see a website telling you where you can actually put the funds, where to locate the funds. Never said any of those things. But not only that, another interesting thing I found very telling is that so this is what I mean when I say that a lot of times people look at queer people and negate or separate our black experience or our melanin from our pigmentation, our pigment from our skin and our other intersections. Yes, Pat most definitely put funds into queer spaces. But if you want to dig a little bit deeper, there are melanated queer people. And knowing that we live in a society that's oppressive, knowing that we live in a society. Now, keep in mind, I'm not taking up for the lady. To make that clear. No, I'm just gonna make that clear. But knowing that this society is oppressive, knowing that this society is dangerous, and it runs on the basis of a hierarchical system, which is in the form of a pyramid. Essentially, most people are going to be at the bottom, and essentially in this nation, and I'll say other nations as well, because of pale supremacy, Wonder Bread supremacy, most melanated people are the foundation of these systems, which means essentially we're at the bottom of those systems. So her putting funds into queer spaces, organizations, essentially helps out a lot of melanated queer people, a lot of melanated women, lesbian women, melanated trans women, melanated gay men, same gender loving men. Hey, like that, those funds help melanated people. So I just think it was very interesting. Now keep in mind, like I'm gonna have to keep saying it to make sure I keep driving this home. I'm not taking up for the lady, but I just think it was very interesting that even when Candace even spoke, like in her documentary, because I did watch the documentary that she talked about George Floyd and then BLM, etc. The language of being able to separate people's orientation and them being melanated, it was just the weirdest thing, because I'm like, they do know there are like there are queer people that are melanated. Like there are people that are queer and melanated at the same time. And this goes to show, it's like it's the same way how if BLM were to put all of their money into women's rights, women's rights or women organizations, like there are melanated women in in the black community. There are melanated cisgender women in the black community. There are melanated trans women in the black community. So that does help black people. Now, one thing I will say about that half a Pat, she most definitely should have done more in terms of the family of George Floyd. She most definitely should have helped out the family of George Floyd, making sure they were good financially. Now, Mary says, I personally don't mind she purchased a headquarters for BLM. What she did doesn't sound any different from any other fundraising groups, especially the pale supremacy ones. So here's the thing. That was so much more than defaming the organization itself. Now I will say this. Um Honestly, it's like um I'm like 50-50 when it comes down to her. Because yes, when it comes to the organizations, they do help our melanated people. Yes, when it comes down to certain things she did, I understand in a sense, but it's something about her as well that gives me sketchy and not to be trusted. That is just no shade. That is no shade. And I think you nailed it right on the head. Let me see. She dropped the ball on the impact she could have had across multiple communities, unfortunately. Yep, I agree. I agree. But oh yes, ma'am. Come on, CJ's daughter. Yes. Come on, CJ's daughter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. Come on. Oh, by the way, guys, if you guys are not aware of the support of my supporters name, the logicians. Come on, logicians. Come on. Now, just so you guys are aware. Oh no, I think I deleted it. God dang it. I was gonna put that banner up. So what is a logician? A logician is with it's best about the name. The way I named my supporters is because I wanted to be able to use logic, but at the same time we're gonna be able to work our magic. So it's a way of being able to mash or marry the word logic and the word magician. So we can use our logic, but at the same time we can work our magic. So come on, logicians. Yes, I live. Yes. Yes. Come on, CJ's daughter. Now it says here, it says pop culture issues. Love everything you are doing so far. Period. Thank you. You're right on her as a person. She seemed not to be seen unless a camera was there. And that's the thing. And that's the thing, that's the thing. Like I feel like she's sketchy. She's a sketchy one. No shade. She is a sketchy one. Now her giving money to queer organizations and stuff that helps melanated people, especially knowing that most of those organizations are mostly going to help melanated queer people. No shade. Mostly. So it's the same way as in if we were to, something, if BLM were to, give all their money to organizations that help children, essentially people wouldn't, I'm gonna be honest with you, people wouldn't say anything because it's helping melanated children. People wouldn't say anything if it were to, if those funds were to go to women's women organizations that help them through life and help them through challenges of through legalities, etc., because that also helps out melanated women. So I'm just saying. But I'm gonna move on. But yeah, BLM Pat, she's not to be trusted. So let's get into this. Okay, so by the way, y'all, make sure you guys thumbs up, thumbs up this video, please, please, please. It really does help out with YouTube's algorithm. And please, let's also give a round of applause. And I wish I had my soundboard because right now I'm not even home. I wanted to make sure you guys give a round of applause for CJ's daughter. And the reason why we're giving her a round of applause, she just became a channel member. She is the newest addition to Logicc. Yes, come on, Logicc. We really do love it. Join the revolution, baby. I live for it. But yes, please, 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 thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. If it does help out with YouTube's algorithm, when you thumbs up the video, when we do our job in here, YouTube can finally do their job out there. And when they finally do their job out there, new people, new supporters, and possible logicians can come here. Okay, thank you. Alrighty, so so let's talk about Gucci Mane and Big Scarr situation. Okay, so Gucci Mane, does everybody know who Gucci Mane is? Gucci Mane is a star rapper. He got into it with period. So yes, so he's a rapper who got into it with Young Jeezy. He's well known for songs like with Lil Kim, etc. Freaky Girl, Super Freaky Girl, Get It From My Mama, etc. Give you guys a little rundown. His wife is Keisha, whatever. I can't. Her last name always get me. But anyway, he had an artist by the name of Big Scarr. Big Scarr ended up passing away. Now, this situation blew up because somewhere along the lines of, yes, welcome to the logicians, baby. Well, if you're a supporter, you're a logician too, no shade. So, but okay, so when it came down to Gucci Mane and Big Scarr ended up passing away, and when he ended up passing away, somewhere along the lines of the family of Big Scarr decided to speak out. When they spoke out, they end up speaking out against Gucci, essentially saying, I'm about to paraphrase y'all, end up essentially saying that he didn't do anything in terms for expenses for the funeral cost, expenses for Big Scarr's, his passing. That's essentially what some of the relatives were actually stating and making those claims. Now, in the midst of that, Gucci's wife, aka Keisha, I want to say Cullors. Her last name always get me. Plus, it's late at night. Blame it on my tongue, not my heart. Cullors, she actually spoke out as well in defense of her husband and actually showed receipts. Basically, let it be known that, hold up, player. Y'all are sitting up here. Y'all are making these claims that my husband did not do anything financially for Big Scarr after his passing, but I have receipts to show that those claims you guys are making are completely false. And now, before I even proceed, let me say this. People know, when it comes down to celebrities, people know the best way to attack or being able to combat a celebrity. And that the best form or the best way to combat a celebrity would be, of course, specifically in this age, would be to go to the internet, expose them, speak out loud, talk out loud. And the reason being is because with all celebrities, I don't care how much they even try to say they don't, on some sort of level, I believe, and I could be wrong, they care, or I'll say most celebrities care about their image. They care about the image. They care about the reputation, or the rumors surrounding their name, because certain claims and rumors can open and shut doors for them. So that's the reason why Gucci Mane's wife had to clear that up, because one, it was false. Two, that can quote unquote falsely show, at least from their perspective, Gucci Mane's wife's perspective and Gucci's perspective, that can show a false, that can paint a false narrative about his character from their perspective. Not saying that he's completely innocent, not saying that he's a good guy, because I don't know too much about Gucci Mane fully. But yeah. So I'm gonna continue. So she showed receipts of, I want to say, $10,000 that was paid before. I'm gonna say beforehand, and then I believe there was $10,000 that was paid after the fact. I want to say after the funeral, or close to the actual date. It was something along them lines. But let me say this: I don't know exactly the full amount. I want to say it was 20,000 in total. Don't quote me on that part, but I know it was 10,000. But basically, essentially, she showed receipts showing that, okay, hold up now. He actually did help out. He may not have always quote unquote been vocal about those things, but he did help out. He did. And so since he's not gonna say nothing, I'm gonna say something. And I do agree. But Gucci didn't have to pay Ish. The rappers need life insurance, and that's the thing they normally do. When they sign to big labels, they usually have life insurance. But I think because he was under Gucci and stuff, so But I'm gonna get into all that. I'm gonna get straight into all of that. So after things blew up, and you can kind of see that it was starting to have like a snowball effect. The family came out, they made their claims. They ain't never doing nothing. Gucci ain't doing nothing. My family member gone. You ain't doing nothing. Where you ain't paying no money. And then Keisha come out, like, hold up, player. We most definitely did. And plus the check cleared as well. Now there's a snowball effect that's actually happening. There's a snowball effect that's actually going on. But then the father decides to speak out. He spoke out. Now, the father, on the other hand, he had a different frequency in his trumpet. Everybody else was singing soprano. He was singing alto. His claims were different. His approach was different. He actually thanked Gucci Mane for giving his child the biggest opportunity ever to be able to be an artist, or being able to reach different platforms. And he appreciated Gucci Mane for all that he has done. Basically contradicting everything that the other relatives said prior to. So, but I did also see something else as well too. Now, I never clicked on it, but I saw that the same relative issued an apology. Now, I don't know how true it is, because I really didn't click on it, but issued an apology. Now it says here, the father, come on, CJ's daughter, the father was appreciative of what Gucci did, and it appeared Gucci dealt with him and not the others. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. I like that you said that. We're going to get into that. Here's the thing. This is when a relative passes away, this is like always the end result. I'm going to say for most families, and I could be wrong when I say most, but I'm going to say most families. This is kind of like the end result or I'm going to say this is the process. That's a better term. This is the process when there are relatives that pass away. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because that's something similar that happened to me within my own household, in my family, where I lost a relative very close to me, and the family went upside down in at a time where we all should be sticking together. We all started to fight each other verbally, insult each other verbally, disrespect each other verbally, almost fight each other physically at the hospital, at the house, because it was a lot of tension and a lot of pressure of this idea that this relative is not here anymore. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is because there's a lot of drama. And the reason why there's a lot of drama, you have all these different personalities, um various entities, all at this point dealing with their egos, dealing with their own traumas, dealing with their own grieving process, and expressions of those said processes. The the people are hurt, people are sad, people are expressing themselves through a pain body. And in those type of situations, because I've literally seen it happen in my own family, literally like 4 months ago. It literally happened 4 months ago. I literally watched everything just go for like step one, this is gonna happen. Step two, this is gonna happen. Step three, this is gonna happen. Step four, this is gonna happen. Step five, people gonna calm down. But step six, oh, it's gonna rev right back up. Like I've literally seen it happen. So in those type of situations where people are irate, people are, not doing the actual work to internalize and actually uh, ask themselves, where is this coming from? What's going on right now? How can I process these emotions that I'm feeling and communicate this effectively? And how can I be able to uh, find a better approach? So instead of doing those things, a lot of times people end up it be misdirected anger. It does. It is, because that's really what it is when it comes down to the family, because they're mad that their relative's gone, but their relative being gone, they have no one to really blame it on specifically, so they have to get it out somewhere, because emotions are just energy. You can't create it. Alrighty, take care. And I'm about to end this soon anyway, no shade. But you can't create it, you can't get rid of it as well too. You can't create it, you can't get rid of it. But what you can do, and by the way, I'm gonna reschedule the after show for tomorrow. No shade. Um, I might save for something else, but the after show, I'm not gonna do the after show. It's kind of late, and I know I got to do some things tonight. But I will be coming back to you guys. But I will say this: the the those moments where people are having misdirected anger, emotions are energy. Emotions are a form of energy. You cannot create the energy. You cannot destroy the energy. You can just transfer the energy. Now, case in point, I've literally been in a room where you literally see one person be mad, one person's upset, and that energy can literally hop from one person to the next person to the next person, and you can actually see the transference of energy, aka emotion as well, aka emotion, go from one person to the next. Transfer of energy. The same. It's kind of like the same way. It's kind of the same, but really not. But kind of the same. It's kind of the same way when you see people. You may see a person yawn. Then all of a sudden you want to yawn, and all of a sudden y'all both tired all of a sudden because y'all yawned. It's kind of like that. So in those moments, people a lot of times put their foot in their mouth. In those moments, people say a lot of things that they probably wouldn't say. People say a lot of things that completely puts them in a position to have to say sorry after the fact. Thank you, Moesha. Thank you for your donation. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Make sure, by the way, guys, please make sure you guys thumbs up. It really does help out with YouTube's algorithm. When you guys thumb up, whenever we do our job in here, YouTube can finally do their job out there. And what happened, y'all? When they do their job out there, finally, we can get more people inside of here. Okay, thank you. But thank you, Moesha. So, people put themselves in a position to where they have to say sorry after the fact. So now, another thing that I noticed, and I'm probably not gonna make this more general because I don't have the concrete evidence, but one thing I have noticed is this. Typically, and I could be wrong about this family, but I don't have anything to confirm what I'm about to say. But in my personal experience, I've seen this a lot. Typically, when there's a relative or a person that passes away or transitions on to glory, typically the relatives, friends, or the people that really act up at the funerals, or the people that really act up, during the service, are usually the relatives or the friends that did that person or those people dirty. So now, since you weren't quote unquote fighting for your relative while they were living, all of a sudden you want to fight for them while they're already transitioned and went on to glory. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not saying that for this situation specifically because I don't have concrete evidence knowing what their relationship was like with Big Scarr and the people that, that spoke out. But there is a trend of where typically, not always the case, but it's typically the people that's always, going off and all this other stuff. They're usually the people that really treated the other, the person that passed away like shit. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to get too deep and make accusations against people that eventually my ass going to have to say sorry. Okay. So let's move on to the very last thing that I'm going to end this show. I really do like this. I like that this, the Ear-Gasmic report. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Ear-Gasm. So now I know I just said this whole thing about me liking something, but let me tell you what I don't like. Let's get into Miss Phaedra Parks. Let's get into Miss Faye. Hold on, let me get some water. Girl, Miss Faye. So apparently Phaedra Parks is supposed to be joining the cast of Married to Medicine. Girl. So here's the thing. I'm just gonna leave that up there. Father Mill ticket, now that he's gone, they no longer have the resource. Girl, I don't know. I'm not that deep into the families. I don't know. Or to even look into all of that. I have no clue. But let me just say this. Here's the thing. Now, when it comes to Miss Phaedra joining the Married to Medicine, do I think she'd be a good addition to the show? Yes. For the show purposes, add it to the show. I think she'd be awesome. She'll do great. But let me say this. Bravo still haven't learned their lesson yet, have they? Bravo still haven't learned that at what point I'm glad you said that too. Actually, I want to. Actually, I'm gonna say what I'm about to say about the Bravo. Then I'm gonna get right into Apollo because I don't want to forget him. Bravo still haven't learned their lesson yet when it comes down to Miss Phaedra Parks. Reason being, Phaedra lied on Candy and Kenya and Nene. When it comes to playing dirty, that's somebody that's going to play dirty that you do not. As girl, Phaedra lied on Candy. Of course, we already know what the obvious lie was, saying that she was a lesbian, closeted lesbian, and saying that she had a dungeon, and tell a Portia that, even though I know for a fact, and I truly believe, I'm not gonna say I know for a fact, I truly believe that Portia knew. And I'm gonna say no for a fact, because why the hell would you go be around somebody that you thought was going to do something to you? Girl, that don't make no sense. That most definitely knew that she did not, like, you knew that that girl did not have no dungeon, and you knew she was not trying to do nothing to you, but you repeated it. But it came from Miss Phaedra Parks. Then you lied on Kenya for multiple years, calling her alcoholic, saying that she has a problem, saying that she's a liar, all these things, saying all those things about Kenya. Then you try to play dirty when it came down to Nene trying to meet up with her relative, her siblings, link up with her siblings and trying to talk crap about her as if they weren't going to go tell her. And everybody know I'm not the biggest fan of Nene, but when Nene got into her ass, I was like, yes, ma'am. Now, let me say this about Apollo getting married. Once again, this is another receipt. Another receipt of, are you mother, and by the way, I'm about to use strong language. Are you hoes not reading the Carfax on these niggas? If Apollo, now keep in mind, Apollo fine. I think he fine. But if Apollo was on an air mattress, allegedly was on an air mattress, beating Phaedra Parks balls in, what the hell? Why the hell would you marry him? Not seeing a pattern of behavior switch. Not from what he said he gonna do, from what he's actually doing. And when people have to prove to you that they're doing something different, a time frame also comes into it, like enters the conversation as well. No shade. So her marrying Apollo, I wish them the best, but I will be watching and see what happens with them. If anything happens, if they end up being happy, because I do understand that certain life things, certain life decisions, and certain things that happen in life, do teach you to be better. So, and from what I understand as well, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong now. For what I understand, typically men in their late 30s, late 30s, that's when they finally like mature for real. Like they start getting it together. So maybe this could be the turnaround, personally, for Apollo, personally. So he probably got it together, probably. But now, in terms of Miss Phaedra Parks, in terms of Bravo, you have a person that will go to leaps and bounds to destroy a person, to destroy the character and the reputation of a person, just because they're upset. And the fact that Bravo brought this person back, or trying to bring this person back to different franchises, it lets us know where you stand. The reason why I say that is because of this. You literally have people fighting on your shows. You said that those things are not allowed, because when Portia does it, She was still allowed to come back when it came down to Kenya. When Monique did it, and keep in mind too, I love me some Monique, but when Monique did it with Candace, Monique actually left the show. She actually quit the show. She didn't get fired. Then you have people lying on people, and also too, the white hoes, the white heifers, they be fighting up a storm. I really don't watch the shows like the white, the one with the white hole, the other girls, but they be fighting up a storm too. But they're allowed to still stay on the show. Then you also have people that be lying, that tell nothing but lies. Now that's one thing, they probably tell like a little lie. I'm not gonna say I would do that, but to tell a little lie is one thing, but to tell a lie that can ruin the livelihood, the reputation, and the business and the cash flow, consistent flow of money for a person, that's something different. And it's also the fact that the audience, the viewers, just forgot, and I'm using quotation, just forgot about the situation. Just because, or you want somebody to get over the situation. Now, I will say this, because for one, they said that Phaedra's good for TV, and I think she is. But at the same time, and I do understand this, when it comes down to producers are not morally right. Let's call it a spade. They will do anything for a show if they can get away with it, because that's their job, is to produce. Produce what? Produce a show. So, do I believe Phaedra's good for TV? Yes. But at the same time, me as a viewer, she's good, but she ain't that good. Get her ass up off of there. Because if she did it once, and she's been doing it, why would you think to tell a lie like that or orchestrate a lie like that? And you know what makes it worse? It's the fact that you orchestrate a lie like that on national television, where millions of people are watching. That's what makes it worse. It's one thing, not saying this makes it any better, but it's one thing to probably try to tell a lie like that to, like, in the friend group, and then try to try to pass and kind of spread around the city or whatever by word of mouth, and or by whoever that was gonna pass it on or whatever, kind of do the telephone thing. That's one thing. Not saying that it's better, but that's one thing. But to actually completely orchestrate a lie to destroy your former friend that you keep in the face of candy, you keep saying it's all good, but you want to orchestrate a lie to destroy this woman and tell it not only through the friend group, so it can most definitely be told within the city of Atlanta, but you also want to make sure that lie is broadcasted on a major network, to where millions of people are going to watch it, inside the US, outside of the US. Millions of people watching. That's foul. Now, another reason why people think that Candy should just kind of like forgive Phaedra, and I'm kind of like, no shade, kind of like with them on this, is the fact that Candy done fucking forgave Portia ass. To be clearly honest, I never would have. I'm not gonna say I would never would have forgave them, but I never would have messed with neither one of them heifers. No shade. Because one orchestrated a lie, and two, the other one used the lie, knowing good and god dang well, knew good and god dang well that the lie was a lie, and then tried to play dumb. I'm using quotation marks. Try to play dumb when caught up in the situation. and acting like, oh my God, I didn't know. Girl. And so the thing is, and to be really honest, and so when I look at that, like the show, when when, when I look at the way that Bravo moves in terms of the show, um, the people that they allow in certain spaces, and the people that they allow to get away with certain things, then I start to wonder, why is it that they allowed people like Portia to do what they do, but then they want to reject other reality TV stars that would be awesome. In my personal opinion, some of them would be awesome for the franchises and really spice it up. Someone like a Tammy Roman, why would you deny somebody like a Tammy Roman? Well, I'm not saying that they did, because I don't know if she actually did go by Bravo or whatever, but I believe she did, but I could be wrong about that. But why would you deny somebody like a Tammy Roman if you already allow Portia to snatch people by the hair, fight assistants and stuff? Even though let's be called a spade a spade, I really don't consider what Portia did as in whooping Kenya ass. Reason being is because all she did was pull her hair. It's not like she would like pull her hair and beat her up, and like it was just pull her hair. We both failed. That's what it is. And by the way, keep in mind too, we're both wearing heels, so yeah, we both failed. But it's about who can be controlled. But they always say the thing about Portia, like Portia literally, Portia literally was on what the show that she had with her with Dennis, where she literally was breaking stuff and going all the other like and that's the contradiction. I'd be like, okay, so what are we doing here? You literally have Portia doing the exact same things, and to be completely honest, Tammy Roman has most definitely elevated since then. So I really feel like she wouldn't even have to go that and do all of that. And plus, she has a mouth on her. She's good for the show. Personally, I feel like she would spice it up. Another person that I feel like would be awesome for the show, Omarosa. Omarosa, even though I've never really been a fan of Omarosa, but I do know a good pro antagonist when I see one. She'd be good for it. Omarosa. And if that's the case, if you're allowing all these other people to fight, bitch, then what's the purpose of you even denying Evelyn Lozada from the franchise? No shade. Yes, she gonna throw something. Yes, she gonna get mad. Yes, she gonna do all those things. But Portia do the exact same thing. So you tell me the difference. Then on top of that, y'all don't even reinforce the no fighting rule like y'all claim that y'all supposed to. Y'all don't even reinforce the you can't cross the line. So what's the purpose of rejecting all these other people if you're just gonna go and bend the rules for people that you will that will help bring ratings to your shows? So I never really understood. I'm gonna read a few comments. Then I'm gonna get up off of here because girls getting late. Portia was thugging from one show to another. Really, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't see it for Portia as in like a thug. I feel like people really do give her a lot. They say chicken tastes like wood. Old lady gang. Oh my god, girl, that's a key. Absolutely, and she doesn't want to know she's bigger than that now. Yeah, like I think Tammy would be good. Tim will walk away if it doesn't suit her, so that's why would it fit? They own to that BS they do on TV. Honestly, it's about who they can control, not about violence. That is true. That is true. But you also got to be in mind, like I feel like this. I feel like I feel like the control is one thing, but also too, it's all about coming to do your job. Like there are people that literally come into the reality TV realm and do their job. Nene, even though everybody know I do not like that, I'm not the biggest fan of Nene, but she comes in do her job. Well, she used to come in and do her job, but once she started to get big headed, then that's when she started to have issues with the producers. And I didn't say that the producers did. Okay. Kenya Moore, she comes in, she does her job. From what I understand, Carlos King, all of them love Kenya Moore. They have no issues with Kenya Moore because they understand that when she comes in, she clocks in, she's here to do a job. Tammy Roman, Evelyn Azada, even though Evelyn is she's not one of my favorites anymore either. She comes in, she does a job. Same thing with Tammy. Come in, do a job. So that's really all I got to say. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know what you guys feel. I was gonna do a after show tonight, but I'm just going to table that. I'm gonna just scrap that for now. It's kind of getting late right. Well, not kind of getting late. It's getting late right now, baby. But with all that being said, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. But not only that, y'all let me know what you guys think about the Ear-Gasmic report. Now, just so you guys are aware, this was a segment that I've been had for like the longest, but I kind of improved everything. I wanted to, I was like, you know what? Because at first this segment was called All Ears. It was called All Ears. And basically what that is kind of what you have right now. We guys can hear me, but you guys really can't see me. And to be completely honest, I like this segment a lot because it's like real chill. I could just talk. I could just, do my little thing. It's real chill. And I really like this. And then on top of that, I like to make sure you guys have some nice graphics and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? I'm finna change it up. I'm gonna, this All Ears. It's a good foundation, but let me get a name that's gonna make people's heads snap around. I was like, Ear-Gasmic. I don't know what made me think of this word, but it just came to my head. I was like, oh, Ear-Gasmic. And I was like, Ear-Gasmic what? Ear-Gasmic review, Ear-Gasmic. I was like, Ear-Gasmic report. Bam, and it stuck. Period. And as you guys see, all of the juices in the background dripping. but yeah, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. Remember, on your way in or on your way out, please make sure you guys thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It really does help with the YouTube's algorithm. Really does help out the video. Please make sure you guys thumbs up. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys later. Deuces. Bye.